it's really interesting to read some of these old scriptures, not necessarily the well known ones, but some of them that aren't well known. Uh, some of the ones that are just a little obscure uh, can reveal some knowledge about Rama that you might not have heard. So in a few minutes, I'll read it. You remember Rama, who we revere, we chisel his likeness in marble, and that's kind of how we revere the gurus and the avatars. But they also are uh, a person just like us. They're not any different, and that's what they come to show us. They come to show us that we're the same as them. It's that simple. It isn't that we uh, worship them because they are representative of God. Rather, they teach us to worship the God within inside of ourselves. That's how simple it is. But whenever a messenger of God puts attention on themselves, uh, as simple as if they do possess some cities, for example, uh, no, also the evil people also possess powers. It isn't only saintly people. So there's not and we shouldn't give any special esteem to people that have uh, attained any spiritual powers at all. But people would be absolutely crazy about that, and they are crazy about it. You know, if somebody can exhibit the power to heal, for example, people in the world go crazy. It's like, oh my God, he really is. He is an avatar, the incarnation of God. What are you going to do? Is that really how we should discern purity and holiness and realization? Is when somebody has realization that they no longer are enthralled with the things of the world. They live in the world and they learn how to live well in the world, but they're not enthralled with the powers of Maya. They respect the powers of Maya, and they're very influential to uh, bind somebody to the entertainment of Maya, and make them feel like they are an interested party in Maya by having a human body and being involved with whatever it is that you're interested in. And all of us uh, do and have at a greater or lesser degree of a real fascination and a degree of extreme importance, high degree of extreme importance to ourselves. We're highly protective of ourselves. We want to have the very best of everything, and we don't want to lose the very best of anything. We want to continue to uh, grow and expand and become more and more and more. Uh, let's just put aside all the worldly endeavors and desires that a person has. They take those, if they become interested in spirituality, they take all of that with them into the quest for spirituality. They don't leave any of it out. And that's what true spirituality is that it isn't that you're attaining anything at all. And understand that you're not attaining purity. What you do is you're removing impurities. That's all it is. You're not attaining anything. You don't have to strive for anything. People think in meditation they have to strive for samadhi, for example. They don't even know how to do that. And usually their Kriya Yoga teacher also doesn't know. But it is held up well, in your subconscious that you should strive for samadhi. Even in the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, if somebody's reading it for you, doing the commentary, I think the samadhi is a big acquisition of spiritual realization. Understand that it is not. There's nothing to attain whatsoever. Spiritual practice, spiritual realization is about losing everything about you that isn't true. Now, a worldly person would would use that to their benefit by letting, well, uh, I'm only going to have good friends. I'm going to only think on the positive. I'm going to eat well. I'm going to live well to attain worldly happiness. But that's what I want to. That's what I'm going to read to you right now. And this is about Rama. Now remember, Rama uh, was an avatar, but he also was a man, just like you, woman and man, just like us, a human being. Avatars come into the world as a human being, 100% human. If they weren't 100% human, they couldn't function. So I'll read this. I might read it a couple of times. It's people in here. Into this court walks the young prince, Rama. He has just returned from a pilgrimage. Now listen to this, because a lot of us can sympathize with this and relate to it. He's just returned from a pilgrimage across the length and the breadth of India. You know, Shankaracharya walked the length and the breadth of India barefoot. Even in the hot summers and the cold winters, he walked it barefoot. Now, this is about Rama. Rama has seen the snow-capped Himalayas and the crashing waves of the southern oceans. He should be invigorated. In other words, having seen the length and the breadth of India, seeing the Himalayas, seeing the ocean, the breadth of the oceans in southern India, he should be enthused. He should be excited and uplifted. He should be invigorated. He should be ready to take up his princely duties, to hunt, to marry, and to rule. Those were Rama's duties: to hunt, to marry, and to rule. So as an avatar, he didn't shirk his duties. But something is wrong. So Rama's seeing the length and the breadth of India. But something's wrong. Rama is pale. His eyes, usually bright with the fire of the solar dynasty, are dull and vacant. We know what that looks like. We've seen people that are vacant. They have like 100-yard stare. They've been so shocked by everything in the world. They're just shell-shocked about all the troubles and all the disappointments in their life, all the failings. So Rama, who should be invigorated and excited about his duties, was dull and vacant. And he hardly ate. He had no interest in eating. He had no interest in conversation with anybody. He didn't feel like talking, didn't feel like eating, didn't feel like doing anything. And today, where we have to analyze every single thing, where they call that clinical depression, back in these days, they didn't analyze every single thing in that way. He has no interest in dancing girls, the royal horses, or the affairs of the state. He sits alone in his chambers, staring at the wall. Have any of you sat on your bed staring at the wall before? I have. Lost in a profound melancholy. Who else do we know that was in a profound melancholy? Arjuna. So Arjuna was deeply depressed. Rama was deeply depressed. Now, I'm just going to inject some side notes here. When Kriya Yoga initiation is given, there's a reason why it's given. And it's not to inspire you. It's to give you a way of purifying yourself. You submit yourself. It's a way of submitting yourself for purification. It isn't a way of attaining samadhi. That's not the goal. The teaching is that you are that. You are already pure. It's not about purifying you. It's about removing the impurities. But we identify with all the impurities. And all of our friends and family identify us with our impurities. Just your physical impurities. Let's say you meet somebody for the first time and you look at them physically, you notice their prominent pluses. You know, they're pretty, or they're handsome, or they have nice hair, or they have nice shape. But we also look at their flaws. The mind analyzes the physical form, and a worldly person sees you as the physical form. They don't see you as a soul, because they're in a profound state of ignorance, just as we are. So they identify you with all of your uh, impurities. And we identify us with all our impurities. Impurity, definition of impurity would be anything of the world is impure because it's imperfect. It has to be sustained. It'll never be sustained forever. It'll start to fail and eventually it'll completely collapse and die. So Rama is in a profound state of melancholy, depression. But his father asked him what is wrong. Rama doesn't complain of a headache or a heartache. He doesn't ask for more jewels or territories. Instead, he looks at the gathered assembly, at the powerful kings, the learned priests, and his worried father, and he dismantles their reality. So you can dismantle a reality when? Can you dismantle reality when you're energetically engaged in activities with it? No. You have to be in a state of melancholy. You have to be in a state of disinterest, profound disinterest. Everything in Rama's kingdom, all the interesting things, he has no interest in any of it. So when Kriya Yoga initiation is given, this has to be pointed out. Otherwise, you don't understand the purpose of Kriya Yoga. You have to understand that the world is just you're chewing and you're chewing on chewing, looking for nourishment, like a cow or a camel. But in a camel's sometimes camels that there's a particular bush that has thorns on it, but it also has real tasty leaves. So he eats the leaves, but he's also cutting himself with the thorns. In his own blood, he feels like he's getting nourishment from his own blood. This is what happens to the world. There's nothing permanent about the world. This has to be understood. And if you understand that, then you become disinterested, don't you? And if you become disinterested, you feel at a loss. You feel like I've lost everything I cared about. I'm not interested in it. When I was just a young boy, I went through exactly what Rama went through. This type of melancholy, because I saw the impermanence of everything that my friends were doing in school, and adults, and every human that I saw around me. I saw that all of it was for naught. I saw that none of it was permanent. And I'm young, I've been invigorated, I'm 10, 12 years old, but I lose interest in everything. So when you don't have anything, of course you would be melancholy. You don't have interest in the world anymore. You cannot even begin to practice Kriya Yoga effectively unless you understand that. Otherwise, you're just playing with some techniques. You're playing with some songs. You're playing with your friends. You're not diving deep into the soul. You're not diving deep into God. The only way that you can go into deep meditation is to let go of your interest in the world. Now, that doesn't mean that you walk around in profound melancholy all the time. What happens is it brings you to a way to connect with what is real. It brings you to the search of none of this is giving me satisfaction that I want. None of this is giving me the sustained happiness that I want. There has to be, because you feel inside yourself, there has to be something more than this. And so you start searching. What is more than this? You might take a cursory look at religion and then see, well, this religion has flaws, this religion has flaws. I don't feel like this is it for me. You might start to come across some gurus, some mahatmas, and it seems that what they're talking about is just a finer, better way of looking at the world. Not looking for God, but just looking for a better world. Like Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who said that my mission on earth is to bring world peace. If you come across a guru like that, are you going to benefit? Are you going to have God realization with a guru who's interested in the world? No. The only way to have God realization is to be taught by a guru who doesn't have an interest in the world, doesn't have an interest in you having a better life in the world, knows that the better life is in God. if you connect with God, then everything that you do in the world, you'll have a renewed interest in everything that you do, because you will be energized through the prana coming from God into your own self. And you'll start to see in God realization that everything isn't just born, maintained, and die. That there is a reality. There is a first somebody who's within every living thing. And then that's when you really start to appreciate life. You start to see life in every single thing. Today, I spent a lot of time uh, saving bugs. I come across bugs because bugs are common. Well, I'm in the habit of saving bugs. I can't stand the fact that the bug is in an unnatural habitat. I'm going to catch the bug safely and then take it outside. That's because I see God within the book. It's my duty to help. So if you have an inspiration to help every living thing, you're going to thoroughly enjoy life. You're not going to have melancholy. So back to Rama. So his father asked him what is wrong. Uh, what is the point? Rama says. Wealth is like a flash of lightning in a storm. Here one moment, gone the next. Youth is fleeing shadow. Before we know it, old age withers, the body like frost wears a lotus. All of you don't know this, but almost the entirety of my life, I was a young man. I was a young boy. The entirety of my life. I just become old recently. And it happened on a particular day. So everything that I read in the scriptures about becoming old, I saw it in my grandparents. I saw it in my father. I saw it in my mother. But it wasn't happening to me. But when it starts to happen to you, then the light goes on and you say, well, this is what they said in the scriptures. That when youth is gone, it's gone forever. There's never going back to the enjoyment of your youth. As you get old, you're not the same. You can't enjoy things the same. So that enjoyment that you had in the youth, you're not going to have in old age. Our lives are like droplets of water in a shaking lotus leaf. There's a man, his name was Thomas. This is when I lived in Florida. And he was a real exceptional guy. Everybody liked him. And he was he took care of people's lawns. He was really like a landscaper. And he would do everything with your lawn. He was really, really good at it. So the whole neighborhood, that whole part of town, of the city, and doing really well. He also did the lawns in a lot of restaurants. He just did a first-class job. He had a beautiful wife. He was young. He had a beautiful wife. Most of his time was spent outdoors in Florida working. And he had two beautiful children, a little boy and a little girl. I interacted with him a lot because we had a lot of interest. He knew about my father, and he was interested in my father. So I moved to Georgia. And because I'm still connected to Florida, I get a message that Thomas had died. Well, he was only, maybe 43. And I've known him for 10 years since he was 33. He died. He had a little girl, a little boy, beautiful wife, beautiful business, and he's gone. What happened is he caught pneumonia. He was kind of an anti-culture, hippie type person, which is what I used to be also. Maybe still am. So he had a tendency not to go to the doctor. And pneumonia can progress very, very rapidly. But he was really strong. So it was shocking that it progressed so rapidly. By the time they decided to go to the hospital, it was already too late. So life can be over in a moment. We see it around us occasionally, but still we don't oh, I'm still alive. I'm still here. We run. This is back to Rama. We run, we fight, we crave, we conquer, and then we die. You hear this in the Kriya Yoga sermons very often. This is what Sri Yukteswar would teach. This is why he wasn't very popular. People don't want to hear this. Worldly people, it's the last thing they want to hear. In the modern time, they're taught that Kriya Yoga is the Messiah for happiness. And they equate happiness with having a better life. And where is the better life? In the world. There's no examples that can be given. Paramahansa Yogananda himself had a lot of tragedies in his life, up to where he came to America, and then it continued after he came to America. And none of this is publicized because the the business, which is the organization, wants everything to accent only on the positive, which I don't blame them. On a business, you want to only show the positive on your product. You don't want to show anything negative uh, about your product, do you? If you're selling something. So that's what they're selling. If you're selling self-realization, you don't tell the whole truth about it. Just like if you're selling an elixir, if you're selling a supplement, you don't tell about some of the bad case examples of it. But in Kriya Yoga, there's a lot of bad case examples because you're awakening an energy within you. It's coming up the Sushumna and purifying the chakras, removing karma, and all of this is similar to an operation. It's shocking to the system. And this is what a true guru points out to you. This is what's going to happen to you, so you're prepared for what's going to happen. So you're not in a state of confusion as you start your practice. And then we do it all over again. It's a wheel of sorrow. So we do that, maybe we gain a little bit of wisdom, and then we reincarnate again, and we go through the whole thing again. The youth, the vitality, the tragedies, the happiness, the attainments, the loss, the emotions, and then old age, death. And then we do it again. Yogananda tells a beautiful story about that, about exactly this, but it's done in a story. It is a wheel of sorrow, Father. I see no happiness in this world. This is Rama, incarnation of God. I see only mirage. When I was old enough, we'd drive in the car to the beach, the highway. It would be hot in Florida, so on the highway before us, you could see it looked like water up ahead. And I remember asking my father, I said, "Father, look at the water." He said, that's not water, that's a mirage. I remember saying that, "What's a mirage?" He said, "Well, that's a mirage. It looks like water, but it's not water." See, we're driving, we'll pick that point, we'll get to that point, and you'll see that we never get to it. What looks like water, we'll never get to it. It's always up ahead. We continue to travel for it, but it's always ahead of where we're going. So the same with the world. We're looking for happiness, and we see it. We see a person to love, or we see something to buy, or we see an attainment of some sort, and we have it as our goal. And we reach closer and closer and closer, but it's always out of reach. I've lived in all sorts of situations. I've lived in extremely wealthy situations that a lot of people never get exposed to. But I've also lived in extremely poor situations. I've been myself in both situations, so I wasn't affected by one or the other. But what I noticed in very wealthy situations, which I had always been told, that these people are living the very best life. These wealthy people, they have enormous wealth. Well, I lived with those people. I was neighbors with them. I got to know them. They were exactly like us. They weren't happy. No matter how big their house, or how many houses, or how many friends, or how many cars, or how many of this, how many of that, they were just like us. They weren't happy. They had new things that it would get them excited. That was maybe the only difference. Where somebody that didn't have that amount of money, they don't get new things every day. So they don't have the distractions. But happiness, definitely not. This is not the speech of a God. This is a speech of a human being in the throes of its existential crisis. This is wrong. So we ask ourselves: is this all there is to life? Is we're unmatched, working, aging, and dying? That's what I saw when I was 13, 14. I saw it. There's a vision before me, a living, true vision. That's when I started to seek realization. It is the moment when success tastes like ash. Okay, I'm successful. Well, I was successful before, it's successful again. Success breeds success. So I'll have success after success. And I've seen that in business. I also had business in an extremely wealthy area. So all the clientele and all my friends were very wealthy. And some of them had the greatest fun. That's what he enjoyed the most, was starting a business. Not maintaining the business, but he did maintain the business. He was successful. He got somebody else to do it. But the starting of the business is what he found exciting. And it is exciting. Not the business itself, but the starting of the business, looking for the location, doing all types of analysis to see which location is the best, naming the business, or if it's a franchise, just franchising the business, and then bringing in the inventory, hiring the people, and then watching the customers come in and being satisfied, and watch it growing, watching the money grow, watching the business be successful. That's fun. That's exciting. So I knew one man, that's all he did. A depression that comes not from failure, but from seeing the futility of success itself. Modern psychology might label Rama as clinically depressed. But in the ancient court, there sat a man who saw differently. Sage Visastha. I can't say it because I don't have any, my teeth don't allow me to, lacking teeth don't allow me to say some words. That he was the Kula Guru, who was a family guru, was a Kula Guru of the solar dynasty. He was a Brahma Rishi, a sage who had realized the infinite nature of the self. So he was self-realized. While the king panicked, thinking his son was sick, thinking Rama was sick, Vasistha smiled. He saw that Rama's sickness was actually vairagra, spiritual dispassion. Now, if you read the ancient scriptures, you find that vairagra is necessary. It's vitally necessary for success in Kriya Yoga. Is that taught in Kriya Yoga? It was taught by Sri Yukteswar. Remember, Yogananda had a mission. He came to the West. The West is very, very different from the Orient. It's very different from India. If you've never been to America, Europe, not so much, but Europe also, America especially, extremely worldly environment and very successful environment. By just applying yourself smartly, you can attain things that would be extremely difficult to do in India, because you're in an environment of worldly success. So spiritual dispassion. This just comes from your own seeing life, looking at life yourself. It isn't something that's taught. It's something that comes about from your own innate wisdom. When you participated in life a lot, you start to develop this dispassion, because you start to see, okay, I've attained to this, and all my problems aren't solved. So I've had so many friends that their ideal was to have their own business. And this is true not just with most of my friends, but also in America, which is what my experience of growing up. To have your own business, you're your own boss. You don't have somebody telling you what to do. You can make your own decisions. So you never had a business for. You borrow money or you save money, you start a business. And then you quickly realize that, why did I aspire to own my own business? To be my own boss. I have so many responsibilities. I can't even sleep at night. So many bills to pay. So many people you're responsible for employing. What if the business isn't successful? What if there's a depression in the economy? What if somebody close to me opens up a similar business, and their business is better than mine? I'll lose my customers. So you find it wasn't what you were looking for. In other words, it's not giving you more happiness. Now, if you start a business and it's successful right from the go, and it's very successful, you're still not out of danger. That you can actually the business can grow so fast. It can be harmful because it's growing too fast. You can't supply the inventory. You can't supply the people. You can't supply the structure, and that itself becomes more stressful. So, so I'm real successful. That the success is also bringing more stress and more difficulties, and the possibility of failing. I saw that happen in the area where I have my business. Uh, so no, it doesn't. It doesn't make you happy. It definitely doesn't make you straight. Um, so I've also met people that after owning their own business, uh, they make a vow never to own a business again. They want to do something that doesn't involve people, something that doesn't involve striving. They've seen that striving to attain something doesn't give them happiness. It gives them attainment, but it doesn't give them it doesn't give them fulfillment. It gives them a temporary feeling of fulfillment, but then it's the same world, it's the same life, it's the same thing. Why am I doing this? So this is what uh, Rama went through. It's important. I like finding things like this because it shows the the ones that we idolize, the ones that we worship. They also had a life as a human being, and that life as a human being was also very important to them. Rama's family is very important to him. Rama's own life was very important to him, enough to be depressed. If he didn't care about anything, you wouldn't be depressed. You would just give up. So of course his life was important to him. He was just like us. But he, having had realized the truth before in a previous life, he came about realization very quickly. As soon as his mind turned towards what is more, he progressed very, very fast, especially because he had a guru. He had a guru that saved him lots and lots of failures, and lots of distractions, and lots of places going off track. Um, if you're really serious about spiritual realization, and most people aren't, it's vital that you have a guru. Absolutely vital. And it's vital that you have complete, total respect for that guru. Remember the man who, with great difficulty, went up into the Himalayas. And I think about this sometimes because we live in the Himalayas and we see. I imagine some of the peaks here, and this is just the foothills, but some of the peaks here. I think about uh, walking off into the jungle, going up into the mountain, and climbing up to the peak of one of these mountains. How difficult that would be. And these are just the foothills. So the higher peaks were in the difficult place where uh, Mahavatar Babaji was. This man was determined to find it. Uh, with great difficulty, he came across Mahavatar Babaji and some of his disciples. And Babaji immediately looked at him and saw that his higher level of education uh, isn't going to be helpful to you. I mean, his higher level of guidance as a guru isn't going to be helpful to him because he's in a lower grade. He's in kindergarten. He must be in graduate school. He said, you're not ready. You're not prepared." And who was prepared? Who was ready? I never thought that I was ready. So I had profound respect for my gurus. I, for example, I never approached them in conversation ever. I had too much respect for them. They approached me occasionally and spoke with me, but I would never approach them and for any reason whatsoever to disturb them in any way whatsoever. I just observed from a distance or close up or real close up. I never interjected any of my thoughts, any of my feelings, any of my ideas. I just observed. I knew that I would um, uh, be best served myself by observing and by listening and by learning from observation and then putting into practice what they taught. Because everything that they said, even if it wasn't directly about spiritual concepts, if it was about a garden or if it was about a cow and about milk, it all had a lesson connected with it. So I knew that I couldn't have realization without a guru. If you're in a pit and there's no way out of the pit because you're down in a hole and the walls are straight up. There's nothing for you to hold on to. There's nothing to lift yourself up to. And you're stuck. There's somebody reaches a hand on, they say, grab my hand. And you grab it because you have faith on that person, because you're in a dire situation, and they pull you up. And then you're extremely appreciative. You're extremely appreciative for forever. Your appreciation never wanes, because you know how profoundly lost you were, and now you've been saved, you've been found. Every disciple is in that situation. Even the gurus had gurus. So us in particular, we would definitely need a guru. Now, there's all types of gurus. Just like there's kindergarten teachers, right? And there's first grade teachers, and second grade, and third, fourth, fifth, all up. High school teachers. Then there's college teachers, graduate teachers. And then there's the teacher of life in the world doing yourself. Something's always teaching us, and then we're applying those teachings to our life. The same thing with spiritual realization. If you decide that's what you want, then it's vital that you have a teacher every step of the way. And then when you get steady, when you get solid and steady, and you're anchored in God, God and your own movements, your own self, and your realization within you, then you make decisions on your own. You're not dependent on a guru forever. You're not dependent on the Kriya Yoga practices forever. And Rama said that there's like a retirement from the practice of Kriya Yoga. When you attain that peace, and that peace, you're stable in that peace, and understand that all these things are real and all these things are true. Self-realization, God realization is the ultimate aim of life. Now, somebody can't give that to you because you already have it. Somebody can describe it to you if you don't have an idea of what it is, so that you can start to grasp that this is a superior state, in the state of worldliness, the state of trying to achieve, failing, succeeding, losing everything, and then starting all over again. So self-realization, God realization is bliss. You're completely, totally contented, but it's also an exciting bliss. You're also motivated to help others. You're also motivated to interact with the world that you're in, or the realm that you're in. Sri Akhtaswara said that he's on, after he left the physical world, he's in a spiritual realm, and he's a guru in the spiritual realm. And he's kept his old age look. In the spiritual realm, you could have any look that you desire. And what is he doing? He's actively guiding disciples. That's what he does in life, and he might do that eternally, because it's the role of God. It's the role of life. It's the role of realization, and it's extremely pleasurable to be able to see the whole plane of life, and to see that a person can be taken out of the confusion of life and have clarity. There's nothing greater than that. It's a possibility for every single soul, every single person, but they have to be guided. So I really wanted to read that to you about Rama. There's a lot of stories about Yogananda, stories about Sri Akhtaswara and Larry Mahasaya, of melancholy, for example, and having difficulties in life. It's important to be reminded of that. Most people that become interested in Kriya Yoga, it's never presented to them honestly. It's always more like a sales pitch. And be honest, if you look at it, isn't it what it is? Isn't it more like a sales pitch? You could present a sales pitch without expecting any benefit from it yourself. Just to have somebody take it and start to think, well, this is the way. But is it really the way? You have to see. You have to understand. You have to understand what the way is. You have to understand what rationally and intellectually would be satisfying to you. Is it something over there that you need to attain? Is it something over there that you need to attain? Do you need to grow? Do you need to be a better person? There's lots of good people and die without attaining God realization or self-realization. So it's not about being a good person. And there's been bad people who have attained self and God realization. So it's really nothing about your character. Character is primarily the characteristics that you have been imposed upon you. It's not necessarily your choices. To be responsible for your choice, you would have to have full knowledge of what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to choose this, which is the wrong thing to do. And I'm going to deliberately choose that, even though it's going to hurt people, it's going to hurt me. Usually when we make wrong choices, it isn't like that at all. It isn't that we see clearly. We're making wrong choices because we don't see clearly. Well, if you have a guru to guide you, if you have a wise person to guide you, you can always see what the best choices are before you. And you can feel motivated to make the right choices. They can be presented to you honestly. If you make the right choice, this is what is going to happen to your life. You can have permanent peace, permanent bliss, permanent purity forever, not temporarily. And other people won't affect what you have. Physical stress, physical impairment will endanger it. Death itself will have no effect on it. What could possibly be greater than that? And we have incredible examples before us. So we got sometime, mostly what we're going to do is questions and answers. So anybody that prepared questions, or anybody who's thought of a question, we've got a long time to go through questions and answers. Remember, anybody's ready. I think, Nevin, you had a question. You were holding your hand up.
Yes, I want to ask why some people have so much longing for God and don't can live normally with friends and go out and have fun. Why is the longing of God so much by some people?
Well, it's really rare to see somebody with true longing for God. You would have to have an understanding of what is the purpose of spiritual practices, and it's easy to see what the basic spiritual practices are. So you would have to see why should I do spiritual practice, and if that's presented to you, then that would increase your longing for God, because it would increase your clarity. The reason people don't have a longing for God is because they're full, and they're up to here with worldliness, and worldliness is like junk food. If your mother, for example, prepares an extremely nutritious lunch for you, they put several hours in the preparation, picking out all the vegetables uh, from her own garden, for example, and cooking just everything perfectly. Great nutrition, great taste, beautiful taste. And you know that lunchtime is at 12:30, and at 11:30 you eat some junk food, and the junk food tastes so good you have more of it, and then you sample another type of junk food, and you're compelled to eat more of it, and then you realize, oh, it's almost lunchtime, and you're just like, I don't. The food is perfect, presentation is perfect, the aromas are perfect, and you're looking at it, and your mother's wondering, why aren't you eating? Did I do something wrong? Did I not cook the right meal for you? No, it's just because you're not hungry. Because you're full of garbage. You're full of things of no nourishment, no goodness. So what does that mean practically? Okay, we all have our tendencies. We know what our tendencies are. Every one of us know. Uh, we might keep it secret from other people, and we might be honest with some other people. They might share the same tendencies. Usually, we attract friends that we share the same tendencies with. Tendencies are very strong. It's hard to change a tendency. But you see that in life every day. I'll just give you an example. There's so many examples. Anything that you do repetitively, repetitively becomes a tendency. So if you decide, well, I'm going to change my way of living, and I'm not going to do this anymore. Like there's a I think it's called tea. It's a type of it's nourishing. It's really kind of like a dessert, but it is nourishing. It's not something that's bad for you. And I have it every day. I often have it twice a day. And because I'm having it twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, I, I I feel like when I wake up in the morning, I feel like I'm full. I don't feel hungry, which is the natural feeling that you have when you wake up, which should be a natural feeling. You should wake up hungry. And I decided, well, I'm not going to have it anymore. I'll substitute it with plain yogurt and just a little bit of honey. Uh, it's hard to do because you just automatically, without thinking, you go to what you're used to. You have to remind yourself, no, and the people around you, they serve what you're used to because they come into the habit of doing it also. So it's hard to change your tendencies. So uh, if you're going to have self-realization, you have to meditate every day. That's pointed out at the initiation. It's most important, not for your happiness, but for your eternal life. You only have so many breaths you're going to take in this life, and then it's going to be over for every one of you. You only have so many breaths, and we don't know how many breaths we have. It's while we're here on Earth that we can, in the field, in the quagmire, there's so many tendencies that if we make just a little bit of effort, uh, we can have so much more freedom after we leave the physical body. And then if we are reborn into another physical body, we'll be reborn in a much, much, much better spiritual position. So there's so many advantages to it. But our tendency is like get out of bed and um, maybe you feel a little groggy and there's still a little sleep in your eyes. You're just kind of going to wash your face and maybe you make some tea or some coffee or something, and then you're having your tea and your cat comes and gets on your lap and you're petting your cat and you notice that he has some matted hair, and you don't want your cat to have matted hair, so you go in and you get a comb or a brush and you start combing out his hair, and his hair is getting better and there's more knots in his hair than I thought, and we're taking those out, and sometimes the cat cries and bites you a little bit because you get the one that kind of hurts, and you get him all combed out and conditioned, and you're happy with it. Then 30 minutes, 45 minutes have gone by, and you have to be at work at 8:30 or at the latest 9 o'clock, and you have to fix breakfast for the children, and you have to put some clothes in the dryer and and they have to wash so you can put them in the dryer so they'll be ready when you come back. So what's happened to your meditation? So if you have a lot of tendencies, meditation first thing in the morning can be difficult. But if you have the right tendencies, it can be so extremely easy. And that's what's difficult. We think that changing in into the proper way of living is going to be difficult. Uh, it's just that little uh, indecision, just that one moment. It's uncomfortable, and we can get distracted if we are adamant. I am going to meditate every morning, no matter what. I don't care. It can be a hurricane, it can be a tornado, anything. I'm going to meditate. And you have that strength of decision. This is what I'm going to do. You will meditate the next morning, and the next, and the next, and then it will become a habit. And then your mind starts to love it. If your mind starts to love it, and your mind is going to encourage you to do it. It's not going to encourage you not to do it. So you can wipe out all those bad tendencies by just making one firm decision one time. You don't need you don't need to reaffirm. You just do it once, and then the right action itself starts to change everything about you. It's just that little moment of indecision is what's difficult. But you have to understand. You have to have the wisdom that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to meditate first thing in the morning. I'm not going to meditate for any reason other than I know this is the right thing to do. And also, my guru who taught me how to meditate told me that this is the right thing to do. And then how to do it. There's no question about how to do it. And then my guru also told me, you're not trying to achieve anything in meditation. You're not trying to make this meditation deeper than the meditation form. You're not trying to achieve anything. You practice the meditation the way the guru taught you, and what happens, happens. Be indifferent to the outcome. Just as the avatars teach us. Do the right practice, but don't look for the results. Most people are compelled. I want results. I want results. I want results. Well, I practiced for 55 years. I never looked for results. Ever. I was never told to look for results. I never did. I was told what to do by Mahakrishna Sukhanand. That's what I did. I didn't add anything to it. I didn't subtract anything to it. I didn't change the position of the kriyas. I get asked that question. I give initiation. 2 days later, somebody will message and say, "Is it okay if I do the Hong Sa after the Kriya Pranayama? I feel that'll be more beneficial for me. This is what I feel." So I have to readdress it. You do it in this order. There's no question of changing the order. This is what impure tendencies do to the mind. It's always trying to change, trying to fix, trying to improve. There's nothing to improve. You just do it. That's all. And how easy is that? And then as you do it, your tendencies start to change, and they start to become good. So you start to have a distaste for the bad things that you're doing earlier, and you start to have a taste for the good things naturally. Not because you're trying to. You're not trying to give things up, because you have to understand that there's nothing to give up. That's just an idea. That's just a thought. I don't have to give up anything because I don't have anything. Realization is the realization that I have everything. I have it now. I don't have to attain it. And once attained, I'm never going to lose it, ever. If you attain self-realization in this life, you'll never be reborn and not have self-realization. When you're first born, you'll be a baby, and you will realize that your consciousness is pure and elevated. And then as a child, you won't know that your consciousness is pure and elevated. You don't even have any real self-awareness other than what's right before you. You're not a philosopher. You're not an intellectual. You've studied these things. But you have a higher state of consciousness. In a higher state of consciousness, you have higher thoughts, you have higher aspirations, meaning not for worldly accomplishment, but you have higher aspirations for what you can't put into words. Something that the world isn't familiar with. Scholars aren't familiar with. Spiritual teachers aren't familiar with it. It's not actions. It's not changing your actions. If you have a guru. If you don't have a guru, then it is extremely much more difficult. Extremely difficult. And you can waste your whole entire life. If you have spiritual aspirations, you can still waste your whole life. Because you don't know where to go. You don't know what to do. When I found this book of Rama, I put it in my Kindle. And so other books were presented to me. Books about self-realization and God realization. They're basically, all of them are presented as a handbook for self-realization. Do this and this and this and this, and you can have self-realization. The book is telling this, the writer of the book. Anybody that reads that book, are they going to have self-realization? Even one person? And we have some testimonials. And I know that by reading the book and following the practices in the book, you're not going to have self-realization. Self-realization isn't about doing certain practices at all. You could say, well, you just said that the guru gives you certain practices. What? Why then would I have self-realization? Well, because your guru stays with you. and make sure that you're doing it properly. The book can't do that. The book can't correct you. If you're doing something improperly, the book can say, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. You need to do it right." The book can't do that. Guru can observe you, watch you, interact with you, and suggest certain things. The book can't do that, and that's absolutely necessary in self-realization because things are happen fast. Tendencies are going through your mind really fast. Desires, thoughts, tendencies, uh, old latent karma, concepts, ideals coming up, things you were never aware of. You're starting to be presented with in the mind. If you're not if you're not taught how to proficiently detach from the mind, you're gonna have problems, especially if you're doing Kriya Pranayama. This is why Paramahansa Ramakrishna uh, told most people not to do Kriya Pranayama, not to do any pranayama, because it brings up energy, and that energy starts to go into the chakras and activate the chakras. And when the chakras are activated, the desires and the tendencies associated with that chakra are activated. Now, if you have a guru, that's not a problem, because the guru can help you manage it. If you don't, you have a lifetime of problems. Now, when I was first in India, some of the Mahatmas told me, not just one, but several, told me that um, guru is greater than God. They said it to kind of shock you, to shock your thoughts. Guru is greater than God, because the guru can show you God. But if you think about it, that's true. Of course, guru isn't greater than God, but uh, that presents it in a way that's kind of fresh to your mind to think about. Um, a guru can save you lots and lots of troubles and heartache and problems if you just follow what the guru suggests for you to do. And what he suggests to do might be very difficult for you only because your mind will reject it, and you're so influenced by your mind. So you make the choice: I'll follow my mind, or I'll follow my guru. And a lot of times people follow their mind. Yogananda had quite a few close disciples that would leave him. You would think, because we've made Yogananda to be such an iconic figure, kind of like a marble statue. Um, if we were to be with Yogananda, we would be the best. We would do everything that he says to do. We would listen to every word. We would spend every waking moment with him. We would never leave. Well, he had lots of disciples that loved him, even though he was directly influential on them and had given them initiation. And lots of disciples. This has always happened, only because they listened to their minds. And that's what, when Yogananda was asked of this, why did this person leave? He was so close to you and he was so active. And he said, because he just decided to follow his mind. And his mind took him out of the ashram, took him out of his sanitas, into some other activity, some other friend that he thought was more promising. He never really understood from the beginning. And then you take James Lynn, who was an extremely successful businessman, very successful businessman. They have success tendencies. So their success tendencies can, if they really decide to dedicate their life to sadhana, to purification, spiritual realization, they can apply their intellect, and they can apply their conviction, and they can make great progress. And so that's what happened with James Lynn. So James Lynn didn't neglect his business. He continued the businesses, continued to grow. His businesses, as he had oil wells, and he had insurance company. There's a lot of money in insurance companies. A lot of money in oil wells. So he was very, very, very busy. And they was married. But he never let his mind influence him. Something other in practicing what Yogananda taught him to practice. But even though he's a very busy man, he practiced every morning. He practiced with dispassion for the world. He was the equivalent of a billionaire. He could buy anything in the world. He knew that because he had bought the insurance company. So he could buy anything in the world. What would be greater than knowing that and then sitting for meditation? I can have anything in the world. And then just like that, you see, well, there's nothing in the world I want. I've already acquired so many things, and I'm still not happy. So why would I want to acquire more? So then you could really meditate, couldn't you? That's why I emphasize to you that you fulfill your desires. And I just read you the scripture last week about fulfilling your desires. If you have unfulfilled desires, you're not going to be steady in meditation. If you're not steady in meditation, you're not going to have purification. You have to be steady in meditation. I'll use another example. I was at the dentist. The major endeavor, which lasted 3 hours, almost 4 hours. If I got in that chair, right in the middle of it, well, he's pulling out all my teeth. I think, does this dentist really know what he's doing? Maybe there's a better dentist. Maybe there's a better way. And then just stop. I'm going to find a better way, right in the middle. And then say thank you and goodbye. And then I'd be in search of another dentist. And the other dentist would probably start to do the same thing. Or if I was in the chair and I started to fidget, I start to move. So a real delicate procedure, like drilling holes in my gums down into my jawbone. You have to be pretty precise about that. Otherwise, it could be dangerous. If I was moving, how would the procedure ever be completed, and how would it be done properly? So the same thing when you start to practice your sadhana, you have to be firm in your method of practice, and just do that. Don't think about anything else. Don't aspire to anything else. But when I first came to India, I was in Delhi. I was sleeping in the Rama ground. Some of you know where that is. And that I came across some Mahatmas, and the police told me to get out of the Ram Leela grounds because the Muslims were cutting off the heads of Americans. So some Mahatmas took me to their ashram in Punjabi Bagh. We called it Punjabi Bagh ashram. And then I went with them to Hardwar, and I lived on the bank of Hardwar. I'd never been to India before. I'd never seen the Taj Mahal. I'd heard about it. I'd heard about the Ganges. I'd heard about Rishikesh and various places. I had no desire to go anywhere. And I never did. And all that time, I never went anywhere. I just stayed right there in that one spot and practiced sadhana. Never aspired to go anywhere else and see things, see sights, talk to Mahatmas, yogis, gurus, learn new things, learn new techniques, read scriptures. Never. Just practice exactly what my guru taught me in that one place. Never moved from. That's right understanding. To do that, you have to have a certain amount of purity and a certain amount of elevated consciousness. And you can be successful without already having a certain amount of purity and elevated consciousness if you just follow the Guru's instructions. That's why Sri Yukteswar was so firm. Now he had a habitat. His ashram was a habitat. Many people who've never been in a real ashram don't know this. When you're in an ashram, you're an inmate of the ashram, just like an inmate of a prison. You can't go out of the ashram into town and do what you want to do. Buy what you want to buy, eat what you want to eat. You stay in the ashram. You don't aspire to go anywhere else. And then you do what you're told to do. You don't have opinions about it. You're told what you're told to do. You don't think bad about it, but you do think good about it. I'm in the right place for my improvement, for my realization. So I'll do whatever I'm required to do. I won't judge it. I won't have my own opinion about it. That's an ashram. It sounds like a prison to a lot of people. They wouldn't submit themselves. So you have to be willing to submit yourself. But you, I mean, the people that created it's presented to us, it's so easy what you're being told to do. You're not taken out of the comfort of your home. You're not told to be doing things that are impossible. You're told to do things that are so simple to understand and so simple to do. And you either go along with it or you don't. If you don't go along with it, purification is going to be none or very slow. And then there's the danger of your mind taking you completely away from it. If you start, for example, when I was in India, I never talked to anybody, ever, which meant I never gossiped because I never spoke to anybody. I never spoke to anybody about my gurus. I never spoke to anybody about where I was from, how old I was, what I aspired for, what I wanted to do. And so I never learned about any other gurus. There's lots of gurus in Hardwar, in Rishikesh, in Badrinath, and all these places. I never knew. I never asked. I just stayed with my practice. So maybe if you hear this or somebody doesn't know it, they might say, well, gosh, that's real. You really missed out on a lot of opportunities. No, I didn't. I gained so much from practicing, from doing my sadhana under the watchful eye of Mahatmas, attending satsang every day, learning new things about my sadhana, about the nature of the world, things to avoid, things to embrace. I really, really concentrated on it, 100%, not 90%, not 20%, but 100%. So if you give yourself to your sadhana 10%, maybe you'll get 3%, maybe 2%. If you give yourself to it 100%, you'll have it 100% very, very quickly. People don't understand this. You need to talk to people who have gone through the process of self-realization to find out just really how easy it is. The only thing that's preventing you from it, from having it right now, is your mind. Your mind has certain ideas, and you listen to your mind. And so your mind shapes your ideas, shapes your reality, really. It does shape your reality. It shapes what you see.
Guruji.
You've been on walking with a disciple in the evening and pointing to this mountain. This was in 29 Palms, California. And there's a mountain just by itself with a desert pipes around it. And he pointed to it and said, what do you see? He said, sir, I see a mountain. He said, you know what I see? I see God. Now, that's God realization. Yes, Sukriti, you have a question?
Yes, Guruji, I wanted to ask you that how do you differentiate that it's my mind speaking and who's listening? Like, how do I know the difference?
Well, that mind is a voice that talks to you. I have a voice that talks to me. And sometimes I talk with it, and you have conversations with it. We do that every day. That's your mind. It's that voice that talks to you and presents different ideas to you, different things. And if you're determined to do something, for example, your mind will try to get you to do something else. That's one way to recognize the mind. You're always trying to get you to do something else. Or if you're doing something that you know is the right thing, it'll give you doubts. You'll say, well, maybe that isn't the right thing. Or maybe you'll fail. Or maybe you'll fall. Or maybe you'll get hurt. Maybe you shouldn't do it. That's your mind. What about your future? Your mind is always thinking about the future. You better prepare for your future. Otherwise, you won't. How are you going to survive? Everything's going to turn out for you. And things going to turn out bad if you don't prepare for your future. That's your mind. And then you have other people that also their minds will talk to you. Your mother's mind will talk to you. Your father's mind will talk to you.
But Guruji, then should we not be worried about the future?
No. The future is right now. There is no future. It's only now. Think about something in the future right now. Anything.
Say what after me for my son?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's something, a mother, that's something that you would think about. You naturally worry about your son. It's God who's given you that worry. It is to protect the species. It's to protect the human race. Is where it's coming from. You give birth to a son, a daughter, and it comes with a strong, strong feeling of love, of nurturing, of worrying about their future, concerned about them. I watch it in the birds and the animals out these windows every day. And God gives those tendencies to the animal part of us. And you're not being told to shirk those duties, just like Rama's duties. He knew what they were as a prince and as a king. So we have duties, right? We have duties to our children, for example. But if we believe in God, we put our life in God's hands. Our child is just an extension of our life. Our child automatically goes into God's hands also. So we know our child is going to be well taken care of. I have 3 children. I've always felt this way about my 3 children. I've always felt confident that they'll be well taken care of. And I don't have to worry about their future. And that's because I know God is a reality, and I know that that's important to me, and I know that God especially is interested in what's important to me as a devotee. If I wasn't a devotee, then I would be responsible for everything. But because I believe in God, God takes that responsibility. So I'm not worried. And then I would know, well, what if something did happen to my eldest son? His name is Rama also. I would understand that this happened just like things happen could happen to anybody in the world. It's for a reason. It might be a good thing. I think we might see it as a bad thing, but it might actually be a good thing. You might really learn something from it, overcome it, and learn something from it, and be stronger and wiser for it. So worrying has no benefit whatsoever. We can completely love somebody and care for somebody without worrying about them. But now, naturally, in your situation, you would be a little more inclined to worry about your son. So that's a little different for you. So a little more of a challenge for you not to worry. But you, as an adult and as a smart woman, and your husband as a smart man, you can prepare for your child's life. But how do you prepare? You're not preparing for the future. You're preparing right now. And what you're preparing for right now is an effect in the future. But you're not preparing for the future itself. You're preparing right now. So you're making preparations right now that will change his life right now. That will carry on to when the future apparently does come. Meaning when he's 30 or when he's 400 or he's 50. The future deals with unrealities. The age of the body, 16, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Well, it's an unreality. That's the age of the body, not the age of us. And so the future itself also is an unreality. So why give undue concern to things that aren't real? Literally, they're not real. Once you see God, you see it. You see all of this. As you see it through your eyes, you see it. You see it shimmering like this, and shaking, almost like atoms. And you can actually see. Well, it isn't real. There's one disciple. He wasn't prepared, but he kept begging Ramakrishna because he became close to Ramakrishna. He kept begging him for God realization. Begging him, and Ramakrishna said, "No, you don't know what it is. You won't like it. You think you want it, but you don't. Of course, you only want it if you're prepared for it, because you would only get the good results if you're prepared for it." And so he kept begging and who knows why Ramakrishna did it. But then he struck him on the chest, right here on the chest, just like on the chest. And he went into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And in Nirvikalpa, he stayed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi for hours, completely unaware of the outer world, completely unaware of himself. Ramakrishna took care of him. And then the next day, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi became Sahaja Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi is natural Samadhi, which means you open your eyes and you become aware of the world, and everything is God. The flower is God. The dog is God. The brick wall is God. The sky is God. Everything's God. And so he had that God intoxicated consciousness, and it was overwhelming for him. His family that he loved so much didn't care about his family anymore. He saw that they also were God. His children that he loved so much, he felt he didn't care about his children. He also saw that they were God. The world seemed so unreal to him, and the reality of God was so foreign to him because he wasn't prepared. He said, I actually banged my head against the brick wall to try to see, because it didn't seem real. So the brick wall didn't seem real. With his God vision, it wasn't real. So he would bang his head up against it to try to get that old sight of the world back again. Because he wasn't just as Ramakrishna said, he wasn't ready for God realization. So when you have God realization, that's exactly what it is. You see that everything is God, and you see that your own body is God. You see that this person is God, that person is God. Also, the dog is God. Everything is God. So you see why higher and higher consciousness you have to be prepared for it. But that isn't something you should strive for. Obviously, you should do what your guru instructs you to do. If you're fortunate to have a guru, if you don't have a guru, then good luck with making any meaningful progress. If you really aspire, you might have a little progress in life. Let's say you come across the book of I Am That by Ramana Maharishi. And so you read the book cover to cover, and then you go to Ramana Maharishi's ashram. You go up the mountain, you come down, and you sit in the satsang room, and you read the book, and then you follow the instructions of I Am That. You do this for years. Are you going to attain God realization? Because you read that book, I Am That? And then you do that practice of I Am That practice? You'll make some progress if you dedicate yourself to it. You put yourself in a spiritual environment, physical, spiritual environment, where a saint lived and breathed and acted. And so you have more and more thoughts of him, more and more thoughts of him, more thoughts of purity. You're doing a practice which is extremely difficult, but you're attempting it. So those are building up good samskaras. And you'll gain some purity from it. You'll lose some of the negative samskaras, but it's not going to be enough to make a big difference in your consciousness. I've had friends who've done exactly what I described. I didn't ever see any change in them. Most people practice Kriya Yoga. I've been watching them practice for over 50 years. Many of them. I don't see any change in them. Yeah, I have seen tremendous change in other people. Incredible change. They became entirely a different person. They become enlightened. They become the sage. They become completely, totally pure. I witnessed that also. Now, what are they doing? And what are these people doing? These people are doing what they think is spiritual. The Mahatmas that I know, they're not doing something that they think is spiritual at all. They're not even thinking, oh, this is spiritual. They're not analyzing, they're not thinking, they're not auditing. They're doing what their guru taught them to do. And their guru was patient with them and taught them correctly for them how to do it. And by their obedience to the guru to do this thing, which the guru knew was beneficial for them spiritually, they didn't think about themselves as I'm practicing. I need to experience, I want to experience. What is the other person experiencing? They just put their mind totally at one point. And the beauty is that anybody can do that wherever you are. If you're initiated into Kriya Yoga by someone who has self-realization and God-realization, if somebody's gone through the process of Kriya Yoga. So really understands what it is. You think it's easy to teach Kriya Yoga? You think it's an easy thing? There's a lot of people doing it. That's a good question right there. Is it really that easy? So easy that hundreds, maybe even thousands are teaching other people how to do it. I come across people every day. They're teaching other people how to practice Kriya Yoga. How did they get the credentials for that? What are the credentials? Is somebody in an office say, oh, I know this person. I'm going to give them, ordain them to initiate others into Kriya Yoga. Is that what it takes? This is like that. You have to have spiritual realization. If you don't have spiritual realization, nothing. It's really no. You're really not teaching anything. You're really not teaching anything significant. You're just teaching superficial things. Concentrate on those. Concentrate on this. Concentrate on that. Do this and this and this and that. And you'll get this and this and this and that. If you don't get in it, then someday you'll get it, or in your next life you'll get it. And it goes on and on and on like that. If you're doing properly, you'll get it right now. When I was initiated, I didn't get it. So I was told by Mahatma Krishna Sukha, just practice and it'll come. So powerful. As I left and I said goodbye to him, I went to the store to buy some fruit and I practiced all the way there. So that the entirety of the walk was about 2 hours. And the realization came to me in 2 hours. And I've been instructed. I finally understood what the instruction was. And then I practiced it. And I had a real prominent, this is how you practice. And then I had the realization. Now the realization didn't come from over there. It didn't come from up there. It's already within me. Panita, you have a question?
Yes, Gurudev, Pranam. Guruji, I just want to, and the extension of the question that Sukriti had asked, that when we know that it is our mind speaking, and you said that mind is generally, whenever the mind speaks, it always tries to tell you to do something, tries to dissuade you from doing something. But I've just realized that when I sit for meditation, and suppose suppose the previous day has been a tough day, and there have been problems that have come up, that in the morning when I sit, I find that I can't meditate because there are voices in my head, and it's like telling me that you solve this problem, solve this problem, solve this problem, like something that would have come up last evening, or that day. So so what is that voice? And I have to solve it, because if I don't solve it, I can't sit and I can't meditate. So like I would sit and I'm going to think it through and solve that problem, and that is my meditation for the day. So what is that then, Guruji?
Well, if you're waiting to solve any problem before you meditate, you're never going to meditate ever, because there's always a problem. There's never a time when there's not a problem. There's always a problem, always, in everybody's life. There's a problem all the time. So if you think, well, I have to solve the problem before I can meditate, you're never going to meditate. Maybe you'll solve that problem and another one pops up. Always. I mean, analyze every single day. Say you solve a big problem. I know what big problems are. So let's say I have a really big problem that was solved. Oh, now I can meditate? That's wrong. That's a really wrong direction to go in. No. You might think for that, well, why should I even meditate? I'm so happy now. Meditation is about happiness. Your mind will come up with some other reason why you should meditate. Then some other problem will present itself. just the body itself, you have some problem. Like I had, just to give you an example, the other day I woke up and felt something like tight right here. It felt like a bump, deep inside my face. And I thought, well, maybe it's coming because they drilled into my jaw. Maybe it's an infection. At night I went to bed. I wasn't thinking about this. But when I woke up, I thought about it. Well, I felt it as soon as I woke up. So now I'm going to go meditate. And now I have a new problem already. Before I even got out of bed, I have a new problem. Could be a serious problem. Could be an infection. Then your mind can think of all sorts of things that'll happen from an infection. So you're going to sit to meditate. So that's the wrong course of action. And the right course of action is, I'm going into the temple. The temple is within me. It's not within my body. It's within me. And I don't have a body. So it's within me who doesn't have a body. And it's a temple. It's a holy place. Am I going to take my worldly problems into the holy place? Because that's where I go to meditate. Are you going to take your problems into the holy place? I mean, that's the real desecration. No. You leave your problems. Let's say you're only going to meditate for an hour. You can't, is your problem really that serious? You can't set it aside for 1 hour? Is it a threat from a nuclear weapon or something? What is it?
Guruji, it doesn't happen every day. Like it will happen once in a while, and that is because generally I'm able to do that, but sometimes it will happen. So now, what is the right way forward? Because what is that voice in the mind?
There's a story, I don't remember who it is right now. Maybe Archana can remember, where somebody, a sage, he's not a realized sage yet, but he is told to go to, I don't remember his name, but he's a king. And he's told that he will help you with God realization. He'll help you with enlightenment. And this guy, he's already renounced the world. He's he's taken sannyas. And so he goes into the kingdom. They let him in. He says he wants to see the king. I forget his name. King Janaka. Yeah, King Janaka. And he sees all the beautiful women, all the beautiful jewelry, all the beautiful horses, and the regalia, and the purity of the palace, from room to room to room, and just the opulence, and every type of physical beauty. And he said, this is who I'm going to learn? God realization, bro? And so he goes before King Janaka, and he's sold all sorts of doubts. And King Janaka starts to give him satsang. And King Janaka just gets lost in the satsang. He's in the flow of satsang. And somebody runs into the room where he's in. He says, sir, the palace is on fire. And so he's given satsang to this young man who really wants God realization. So King Janaka is really inspired to help him because he's real sincere. And he just continues with his satsang. And the man is perplexed. And so there's a fire. Why isn't he doing something about it? And somebody runs in again. They said that the fire is just right outside the room. It's already consumed half the palace. It's right outside the room. And he continues to give satsang. That's the type of dedication it takes. King Janaka didn't let the palace on fire disturb him from giving satsang. From somebody who really, really wanted to listen and to know. That's what it takes. But I'm just not saying that as like a platitude or something unattainable. It's exactly what it takes. That's what I did. That's how I know. But I did that drastic. So you have to be drastic. Have to be. Now you're drastic. It wasn't like King Janaka's. It wasn't like mine. But it's the same drastic. The drastic is, I'm Kunita. I live here. This is my life. This is where I go. This is my asana. This is where I sit to meet the Lord. And I'm leaving everything behind when I sit to meet the Lord. You have to be that drastic about it. Have to be. Otherwise, your progress isn't going to be very much. And you can do that. You think, well, that my life is going to be worse because I'm not addressing problems. No, you'll find just the opposite. You have to trust in God. Put God first, and you'll be amazed at how your problems, many of your problems, will solve themselves. It's not a guarantee, but your problems will be solved. Swami Vivekananda, his father died. His family was literally starving. He was the eldest son. The economy was terrible in Calcutta. He couldn't find a job. He went out every morning and walked the streets until nighttime. Could not find a job day after day after day. His family was literally starving. He never bothered Ramakrishna about it, but Ramakrishna heard through other disciples that this was the situation that Vivekananda was in. So he told Vivekananda, go into the Kali temple and ask her. Tell her that you need help, and she'll take care of it. And that's simple. And from his room to the Kali temple isn't very far. So he walks the distance to the Kali temple, goes in, and Divine Mother appears to him. Because Ramakrishna said to go there, he was followed the Guru's directions. And because Ramakrishna thought it and directed it, Kali appeared to him. He was so enthralled with Kali, and then he went back to Ramakrishna. She told him to go back. And Ramakrishna said, well, what did she say? And Vivekananda said, I forgot to ask her. Serious problem. His family was starving. He was starving. Literally. He forgot to ask her. That's a real problem, starving to death. Literally. Not having any food, no money. No money to buy food. He forgot. Ramakrishna didn't stop there. He said, well, go back again. And this time, remember. He went back, same thing happened. He said, go back a third time. Same thing happened. He forgot to ask. And Vivekananda is a very strong-willed, intelligent man. He forgot all about his mother, forgot all about his brothers and sisters, forgot all about them starving to death when he went into the tomb. That's how you have to be in meditation. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not that hard. You just have to make the decision to do it. Your decision is a decision about unreality, so it doesn't have any effect on the world. You're not missing out on anything in the world. There's no danger that's going to happen in the world because you're making this decision. Nobody's ever had anything bad to them when they trusted God. Ever. So no harm is going to come to you.
No, Guruji, I just feel that maybe it is the trust in God that, the solutions for the problems come. Is it not because of that? That, I do offer all my problems at the feet when I pray. I name them 1, 2, 3. This is troubling me. So I do that. So if I'm saying that in the morning when I sit for meditation and I find that some solutions coming, I just find that, there's some chatter going on inside my mind. Somebody's speaking and I don't know whether it is the mind or what it is. So,
well, let me clarify that for you. It's definitely the mind. It's nothing else. There's no divine being that's coming in and talking to you. It's all your mind.
Okay.
The divine beings, they don't talk. And they definitely don't talk about the world. But a lot of people think that in meditation, the divine beings are giving them solutions to problems, or they're saying, take this path, don't take that path, or a divine being spoke to me in a dream and said to do this, not to do that. Why would divine beings be interested in your worldly life? They're teaching you for you not to be interested. So why would they be interested?
I didn't mean about the divine being, Guruji, but is it, this was the question in my mind, that it is the mind or it is myself that is talking?
What's your mind?
It is the mind.
Oh.
Okay.
What is yourself? Did yourself ever talk to you?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to myself, so I'm talking to my mind then.
Yeah, but does yourself ever talk to yourself?
I don't know.
No, of course it. Yourself doesn't talk to yourself. Yourself is the self. There's nobody else to talk to. The self doesn't talk to the self. It's all, whenever there's anything talking, it's all your mind.
Thank you, Guruji.
Now, if you go before the guru and ask a guru a question, the guru's probably not going to be very interested if it's a worldly question. He's not going to be very motivated to answer your question. So he might give you some advice, he might not. That doesn't mean that as a person in the world, we shouldn't be interested in solving problems. And I've always been interested in solving my problems. So you do everything you can possibly do to correct the situation, to avoid the situation, or to improve the situation. You do what you can do. You leave the results to God. So I've done everything I've done, but the problem still persists. No. Are you sure you've done everything you can do? Everything. In most cases, you haven't really done everything. Let's say, just an example, and this happens to people. So you're living in a house and you're in a terrible situation in your neighborhood, and you come to the realization, the best thing for me to do, instead of continuing to fight and fight and fight and protect myself and argue and all this mayhem, is I'm just going to move to a different neighborhood. But then you think, well, my children go to school here, my roots are here. I don't know if I can get a better job there. The job might not be as good. You start having all these doubts about it, and then all the problems persist and they persist and they persist, and you say, well, I've done everything. Well, did you move? You can make the decision to do that. Did you do that? Well, no, I didn't do that. What prevented you from doing that? Fear. Well, then were you really that serious about solving the problem that you were willing to do anything? No, I drew the line. I actually wasn't willing to do anything. I drew the line. I'll do anything up to that point. I won't go beyond it. So people, and that's for everybody. Everybody has a reason why they won't meditate deeply. Everybody has their own reason. And they come up with reasons every day why they won't do it. Otherwise, they will go into very deep meditation. Your meditation today. If it's the morning for you, tomorrow morning, you can go into a deep meditation tomorrow morning. There's nothing preventing you. Yes, for Sunday?
It's been exactly a week since I received the precious Kriya wishes from you. So I'd like to thank you from my soul for that. And I've been practicing every day, and I'm feeling the difference. I'm already feeling the difference in my life, in my thoughts, in my being, if I may say so. And I guess a lot of the questions that we may have, or I had, have already been answered when I am listening to the satsang. So I'm grateful, and I hope, I pray, or I request for continued guidance and blessings from you, Buddha. So whenever I have any questions about the sadhana, I guess I could send a personal message and then clarify that, right?
Yeah, just message me, and or ask me during the satsang too. Even if there's people that aren't initiated, I can still go through the techniques with you.
Okay, great. Can I ask one right now?
Sure.
I think I really love the Kriya Pranayam that I was taught I learned for the first time in my life. I had known about the sadhana since 28 years old when I sort of went halfway through with the organization, and I loved it then. And even when I started listening to you from April, and when you sort of gave it to me, to all of us, and you gave the instructions on just like that, and then how to do the answers. I've been doing that with the Kesari Mudra. And even from then, I've been I've experienced the difference. And my question is, I'm really loving the Kriya sadhana. So when I'm doing it, so I come up to the medulla oblongata and then to the Agya chakra, the third eye, and then I'm inhaling all the way through, and then while I'm exhaling, I go up to the Sahasrara and go down. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when you're inhaling at the back of the throat, and you're visualizing
On the tunnel.
the air coming up the sushumna from the base of the spine, coming up the hollow tube of the sushumna, you come up to the base of the brain, medulla oblongata, and then with a continuing incoming breath going through the center of the brain to the agya, and that's where you pause. That's where your breath, your incoming breath ends here. So it's you pause here, and then you start to let the air out slowly. As you let out slowly, come up. You don't pause at the top, but you just come up, and then you just let the breath fall down the back of the spine.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, good. That totally answers my question. So actually, there's not a long pause between the in breath and the out breath, right? You just go up to the.
Yeah, it's just a short little pause. I'll do it for you, just so you can see. So I'll start from the bottom.
Yeah, I don't think we have the video.
So you just pause just slightly, right here. You could see me?
No. There's no video from your.
Can anybody else see me?
We
can see you.
Yes, we can see you. Oh, I don't know why I can't see you, but it's okay. It's okay. You can continue, please.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So this is important. Any little nuances in the technique on the first go when you're initiating, you don't necessarily, if you're trying to take everything in, you don't necessarily understand exactly what to do when you put it into practice. So then some questions come after you put it into practice. So then it's important to ask those questions like you just did. Yes.
I've been practicing the way you just explained again right now, but my mind probably was working. And then one more thing is, after I do that, I also try to inculcate the Jyoti Mudra and the pranav. And after that, can I go back to doing the Hamsa for a while, because I really love it.
How long do you meditate?
Just like I've been listening to a lot of your since April. I've not missed any of the, and I have also been listening to your older satsangs on Spotify, and then the first day I woke up at 2:47 in the morning, and then I just went to the bathroom and then sat and then started doing it, and of that maybe at least 1 hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe more, until 5 or 6 o'clock, something like that. So at least 1 or 1.5 hours to 2 hours, I'd say.
Yeah, so that would be 3 hours, a little more than 3 hours. Yeah, sure. If you're meditating only for an hour, do all the techniques, do the pranava, listening. And so let that conclude the end of your meditation.
Then I stop.
And just continue with this until the end, until it's time for you to stop.
Okay, so I only do it for 1 hour. Is it 1 hour? Is that?
But if it's longer, if it's 2 hours, then do the techniques in order, then do the pranava mudra.
Pranava mudra,
and when you're inclined, just put your hands down and just keep your awareness here. And then don't do any technique at all. Just sit. That's the best time to sit. You not do anything. All the techniques are physical, and they're also mental. So enough prana has come up to where you're much more relaxed, you're much more peaceful. So that's the perfect time to actually go into meditation. That's the perfect time for pratyahara to happen, because pratyahara happens, you relax into it. It isn't a sudden event, you relax into it. And so let pratyahara happen by doing nothing. And then just by doing nothing, because prana has come up from all the techniques, you can go into meditation without any effort.
So
And depending
the
on
actual meditation.
meditation, samadhi.
So the actual meditation is it the Jyoti Mudra or Pranava? No, not that.
No, actual meditation is uh,
Just a beam.
right after pratyahara, and then going from right after pratyahara into samadhi, and then samadhi. That's meditation, and only that's meditation. Everything else, all the kriyas, all the techniques practice, those are really practices of your sadhana. It's not meditation.
Gurudev, so pratyahara means like drawing in all the senses, like a tortoise. Is that
Yeah, it's just like a tortoise, just like a turtle, brings in,
drawing in, right? Yeah.
if it's sincere, it brings everything into the shell. So by practicing the techniques, you're bringing all your prana that you're connected to the world with, you're bringing it all in, and you're bringing it all in yourself. And then when you do, you're protected, the turtle's protected. And then what is there left for the turtle to do? Nothing. So then you just do nothing else.
Okay, Gurudev. Yes. Yeah.
And then meditation happens. Because there's nothing else to happen because you're not connected to the world. So nothing's happening there. So the only thing to happen is meditation.
Okay, so I'm doing, but I just wanted to say that when I'm doing the practices, even when I was only doing the Amsa technique, I can feel that I've drawn into myself, and then I could feel the benefits of that. I practice some other techniques too, some other techniques like in other traditions, and I couldn't feel as much pratyahara as when I'm doing the Hamsa, and now since I've been blessed with the other techniques. That my mind and my senses are drawn in, and then I'm feeling the benefit. I don't know whether I was able to express this correctly or not, but
no, thank you so much. I understand. Yeah, there's a lot of gurus in the ancient times and into the present times. They only initiate into a guru given. They call it a guru given mantra, and that's all they give is a mantra, and that's all you need. And that mantra calms the mind, calms the breath, and calms the mind. And then you have pratyahara, then you have samadhi. The Hong Sa is a mantra that we're taught, but we're taught it with the breath. And most mantras are always taught with the breath. In the natural progression of just the Hong Sa is pratyahara, and then samadhi. You can have samadhi just from that practice. You don't need to practice the others. But in our condition as a human being in this modern world, Kriya Pranayama does accelerate our ability to connect with God. And Kriya Pranayama itself, even if it doesn't lead to meditation or samadhi, it's removing some karma, so it's improving our consciousness. So that's why we practice Kriya Pranayama, not just Hong Sa. And then Jyoti Mudra also, you're connecting with God through light, and then Pranava Mudra, you're connecting to God through sound. So you see, you're just fully covered. So some people connect with God better through Jyoti Mudra. Some connect better through Pranava Mudra. Some connect better with the after effects of pranayama. Some connect better with Hong Sa. And it's all because of the different karma and temperaments. So Kriya Yoga practice is literally, it's for everybody. But it has to be taught correctly. If anything, if it's not taught correctly, what good is it?
Yes, certainly. So we only practice it like 14 times.
Yeah, only 14 times. Yeah, never more than that. Yeah,
never more.
Yeah,
Are you
sure. You were asking a question? Yeah. True turn. Yeah. Question?
Me?
Mhm.
Okay, so the pratyahara, when we hold the breath for a few seconds at the top, do we also hold the breath when we bring the breath down, when we let go? Do we hold it at the base for a few seconds as well? Or do we just automatically start going back up?
That's a good question. I haven't thought about it for a while. Let me see. Let me do it and see. No, you don't hold it at the bottom. Just continuous. Like a continual
Okay.
Good feel flow. Bring it up. Pause here. Go down, and then you immediately circle back up. So the only pause is right there. You don't pause. You don't pause at the bottom.
Okay, good. I was pausing, so I won't do that anymore.
Yeah, don't do.
Also, when we're raising eyebrows, that's only for Jyoti Mudra, right? Not the whole time.
Oh, that's another good question. Probably best just to do it with Jyoti Mudra. There really wouldn't necessarily be a benefit with Hong Sa. Even though you kind of start to do that naturally with Hong Sa, especially as the energy starts to come up, you might feel inclined for the eyebrows to go up. So if you feel inclined, go ahead and do it. Kriya Pranayama during the technique of coming up, nothing with the eyebrows at all, because all your concentration is on the Sushumna coming up, the energy coming up, the energy going down. Jyoti Mudra, definitely raise eyebrows just slightly, and then put your fingers firmly on the eyeballs. And you're kind of anchoring it. So you're anchored. I mean, you're there. You're not going to move. And it's comfortable. So you get in that anchored position better if you do slightly raise the eyebrows, not the eyeballs, but just the eyebrows. And then Pranava Mudra. You don't have to raise the eyebrows, but again, as the energy goes up, a lot of times I found that it just happens on its own. It just kind of pulls it up. That's why Khetri Mudra is so good, because everything is pulling up. The tongue is going up. Pranava is always here, so your attention is up. You're kind of inclined to raise your eyebrows a little bit. That's going up. Your hands are, in this mudra, your hands are here. So your hands are up in an elevated position. Everything's up. You're in an upright position, seated. Everything is gone up.
I have just one more question. It has to do with my own personal practice. In the evenings, I will sit for meditation, and I'm finding that once I get to a relaxed state, I don't know if I'm actually just falling asleep. Maybe my body's, I mean, my mind is active. Like I'm not like completely like unconscious falling asleep, but I don't know if this is what's happening, but I get to a relaxed state and then like my body kind of like jerks me awake or something. Like I have a physical reaction and I don't know why that's happening. I don't know if I'm describing it or
Yeah,
explaining it right.
I'm familiar with what you're experiencing. It happens to me sometimes too. I'll have like a like a jerk in my body when I have different states of consciousness. What it actually means, I've been told, and I can say that I definitely know this, but I've been told that as you meditate deeper, your consciousness goes higher, which has a tendency for your awareness to go out of the body. It's no longer anchored in the body. So you do have elevated consciousness. You're not in the body. So your awareness is up here. And then when your meditation is disturbed, it can feel like a jerk when you come back to your body. And it's like a physical jerk, like a shock. And that's your soul going back into your body.
But it scares me, and
I kind of think that's true.
That when that happens, I get scared, and then I stop my meditation because it's alarming, and it's I don't like that sensation. So now I'm reluctant, and I don't want to be reluctant to meditate in the evening.
Well, it's just
the lights on.
Yeah, that's just extremely momentary. So it's nothing to be scared of. No harm is coming to you. There's no reason to stop your meditation. In your meditation, you can, if your mind is even slightly unsettled, you can be in meditation, but your mind is still operating. And so you can have all sorts of visions. And some of the visions are really disturbing. And some of them are extremely scary. I've had that. I've had a lot of really frightening encounters in meditation. I never stopped my meditation because but I'm dedicated to meditating. That's what I'm going to do. Nothing's going to stop me. So to let anything scare you into stopping your meditation. Let's say King Janaka, that's a good example. And the palace is on fire. And that's pretty frightening. And that didn't stop his meditation. Satsang is like a meditation. If your house is on fire, I think you would definitely stop, and I would definitely stop too. I'm not King Janaka. Don't let anything stop your meditation.
I'm still doing my meditation in the mornings, like 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, but I'm also doing it in the evening. So like the few times it's happened, I stopped this immediately after it happened because it happened 2 or 3 times while I was sitting. I'm like, okay, I just keep being distracted by this jerking sensation. I'm not getting past this. Like it just repeating.
Does this happen frequently?
This is new. I've never experienced this before. It doesn't happen in the mornings when I'm doing my morning meditation. It's only the evening one.
Well, it probably has to do with you. Do you go to sleep right after you meditate in the evening?
Not right away, but soon after. Yes. So
Okay.
maybe.
So you continue to do things before you go to sleep.
Yes, I get ready for bed.
What time of night is it?
Well, I start my evening meditation at 8:30, but I don't go to bed till like maybe 10:30. So maybe I meditate for I do a shorter one in the evening, so about a half hour to 45 minutes in the evening, but in the mornings, I usually do like an hour.
But it only happens in the night meditation, not in the morning meditation.
Yes.
And it's probably something physiological then.
Okay.
You ever have the opportunity to meditate in the afternoon?
No.
No, it's just in the morning or the evening. Okay. Well, it's nothing serious.
Should I leave my lights on? Maybe my body thinks it's trying to go to sleep, or maybe because I usually turn all the lights off. It's dark in my room.
Yeah, but probably so. Sometimes if you're, for example, if you're really tired, I notice if I'm driving, if I have to drive a really long journey and I'm tired, and I kind of have the beginning of falling asleep at the wheel, and it'll be like a jerk, waking you up, like be more alert, like that. And then sometimes also in the house or in different places, if we feel like we're, and this happens sometimes. Let's say you're tired, and you're trying to concentrate on something, and maybe it's in a meeting, somebody's given a presentation or something, and then you just kind of your concentration just kind of drifts off, and it comes back with a jolt. I think all those things are pretty common. I don't think it's anything to really be concerned about. I don't let it stop your meditation. If you have a certain amount of time that you say, I'm going to meditate this amount of time, don't ever stop before that. So it would be like I started doing crunches, which are like sit-ups. And I do 100 in the morning and I do 100 in the evening. I never do 99, ever. I never do 75, ever. I always do 100. So you dedicate yourself to a sadhana, no matter what. Complete it. Okay, so it's been 2 hours and 10 minutes. Like a lot of time to hold your attention, and then we'll have satsang next. Sure, my pleasure. We'll have satsang again next Saturday and Sunday. TK? Atam samastu.
Yes,
Thank you,
Guruji.
Guruji. Thank you.
Pranam, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Copy, Guruji.
That's not